welcome everybody. Welcome to Catriona Jessamy's talk about tools for self-regulation and stress management. I'm very excited to have Catriona on the call tonight and sharing her lovely skill and wisdom with us tonight, all about this very, very important subject that we all need, I think. And as we go through the talk, you'll be able to write your questions all the way through the talk in the chat box below. Everyone's on mute for the moment, except for Catriona, of course. And I'm going to switch mine off in a moment too. So Catriona, you're going to have the whole space for yourself to share. I'm really excited for this call. We've got some lovely things in store for you, everybody. Without further ado, Catriona is going to introduce herself and explain, why she's sharing this and where it all comes from. So over to you, Catriona. I'm going to switch off and enjoy, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, love. Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's really good to see you here. Yeah, it's really a pleasure to be here and to bring some of the tools and wisdom that I'm going to share with you, because they've really transformed my life and my felt sense of safety and connectedness. And I really value sharing those things so that we can build that as a community, because we all feel more safe and thrive together when we are working with a similar awareness. So it's really nice to be here with Althea. We've known each other for a while now. We've studied some things together, and we've actually both exchanged our healing practices with each other. So I've done her 90-day PainFree, and she's done some mentorship with me. I offer mentorship to men and women, but I specialize in women. And it's very much about reconnecting to our bodies and discovering how to source a felt sense of safety within us, which is based in a somatic way very deeply in connecting to feeling our bodies and discovering safety and reconnecting to sensuality. So I'm a little husky because I've been sick for the last 2 weeks with some nice viral thing. But is it clear? Are you hearing me well? Okay, wonderful. So I'm just going to jump straight in. I think the first thing that was listed as something I was going to do was easy somatic sensual practices to bring us into the now. So what you'll find with this call is that it's going to be a mixture of me sharing my journey and tools, and it's going to be experiential because there is no better way for you to sense and know into if this is something that supports and resonates you without just doing it. So everything is also an invitation. If you don't feel like going on a little journey into your senses, if you want to just listen and observe the group, that's totally fine. But I'm going to offer invitation to certain practices. And we're going to start with one now, just to ground us into the space. So what I would invite you to do first is look again around the space that you're sitting in. So just slowly and gently letting your eyes wander around your room and noticing, those special things in your home that make you feel at home, because that's your sanctuary there. And those are those things that you've chosen that represent to you that beautiful feeling of being at home. And I want you to also just notice that you're alone. This is a safe, private, confidential space. And that's an invitation to allow you to feel relaxed and safe. And sort of from this place of appreciating the sanctuary that you have and the privacy that you have, I'm going to invite you Oh yeah, maybe too. So I'm just going to go with my own body flow. I invite you to make some movements, do a little bit of whatever your body wants to do to continue to open to this feeling of home and safety and yes. So stretching is always such a gift and allows us to soften and just arrive. I also really enjoy and I really encourage self-touch. Whether we have a partner or not, or children or not, the resource of being able to feel sensual with ourselves and connected to ourselves is really a gift. So yeah, just bringing loving touch in whatever form that wants to take, whether it's stillness, whether it's caressing, whether it's holding, all and any kinds of touch with yourself. Can be nice. I encourage wiggling of the jaw. The jaw is actually directly correlated to the hips and to the pelvis, so that when we have a soft jaw and we can allow the jaw to be soft, we're also subconsciously and now consciously inviting our pelvis to also relax. And that allows us, again, to sit deeper in ourselves. Yeah, we can even do a little bit of a hip shimmy. And I invite us all to, if it feels good, if it feels comfortable, to exhale and keep the jaw soft. And maybe in this moment, it feels nice to gently close the eyes if they're not already closed, and to just take the journey a little more inwards and really tune in to how are you in this moment. So this is just an invitation to notice. There's nothing to fix, nothing to do, but just observe and notice, like, what's the quality of my experience with myself right now? What's the quality of my mind? Is there a lot of energy in the mind? Is there some busyness? Does there need to be any reassurance of like, okay, right here in this moment, I'm in my safe sanctuary. I'm in a quiet place, and it's okay to drop some of that busyness, some of the stories, some of the things we need to remember. It's okay to slow down, just to see if that's necessary, or also just to notice. And also from there, also to notice the quality of the breath. How is the breath moving with you just now? And how does it feel just to drop into paying attention to the breath? Can you feel through the breath some movement in the body? Could be the rise and fall of the chest or the belly. And just a deepening into the quietude of the body. Mm. Yeah. Feeling that grounding into the breath and into the body and the silence. And you can notice any places in the body with aches or pain. Acknowledge them, but also just come back to staying with the breath and how that feels. And if it feels good to do a little bit of also still this like gentle spiraling kind of motions in the hips and the shoulders. Just, it's really nice. It's always so nice whenever we've come into a place of togetherness to go into a little bit of curiosity and vulnerability to say thank you to ourselves. So really just to take a moment to do that, you know, like thank you for coming. Thank you for being curious, and thank you for wanting to deepen your connection to your body, to explore cultivating a felt sense of safety and understanding more your body's stress patterns and communications. Yeah. So the final invitation to this would just be to gently, if you want to gently open your eyes, and perhaps it's more comfortable to begin with like a gentle downward gaze at your physical space. Again, something next to your computer. So just grounding into your physical space again, observing how you feel. And then I invite you to slowly and gently come back to the screen. And I don't know if you have us on the gallery view or not, but I would also just invite you, if it feels fun and comfortable, to go to gallery view just for a moment and just to have a look and say hello with your eyes, with your energy to the other beings in the space. Because such a big and important part of this work is to feel and to know the togetherness, and to feel and to know safety in togetherness and joy in coming together, especially for things like this. Yeah. So what we just did, I'm curious, how is everybody? If anybody wants to just open the mic and pop in popcorn style or put something in the chat and say how you are and a little share, like a little sentence about how the practice was for you, maybe how you felt before, how you feel now, anything that stood out.
Yeah, if anyone wants to have a share something, just put your hand up, or the digital hand, or just wave your hand and I can unmute mute you.
Oh, right. Yes. There we go. Got mastermind there. Yeah. So,
Yeah, would anyone like to share their experience of that? Or yep, so Karen, I'm just going to unmute you. If you click your thing there.
I feel very relaxed now. Very relaxed.
yeah, beautiful. I'm glad. Yeah.
Very chilled.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's really
Mm.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Relaxation, I think it's one of the foundations of wellness, isn't it? Wellness and wholeness and healing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And Ella, I think, wanted to say something.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I've just had a meeting with two friends and we've had a cup of tea together and we've been having a deep time. And one of the things we were talking about was the sense of safety and the importance of being in the body and feeling that deep connection into one's own personal safety. And so when you started, and we were talking about also how our homes give us that sense, and how difficult it is when we go further out into the world to sustain that sense of safety. And so when you started talking about looking around and looking at what is familiar, that gives us a sense of belonging and safety. So it was interesting. And then I've been doing kind of similar things to what you've been suggesting. I roll on the floor. The first thing I do before I do my yoga is I've got this mat and I just roll, and I let the body just do everything and anything it wants to do. And it then, of course, yawns, which is such release. The yawning starts pretty soon. In fact, when you did the exercise just now, I started yawning, and I never know what the body is going to do. It just does its own thing. And it's so interesting how that wisdom within the body just guides us to another place completely, where tensions fall away. But the thing is, it's curious because I still don't actually give myself enough time to do it, because of course it takes a bit of time. But yeah, very valuable. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. I love all the synchronicities. That's magical. Yeah, really nice. Rolling on the floor is, wow, a magical practice. Yeah, just like the support of the ground, the freedom of authentic movement. Yeah, that is something I also love to do in the mornings. Yeah, thank you. Okay, is there any other shares that anyone else that wishes to speak anything out just now, or shall I? Linny, I saw you. Were you just? I can't hear you, my love. You're still on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I'd pressed something wrong, and I'd gone, and then I got back, and then I couldn't hear, but I can now. So
Okay, great. So you can hear. That's it. That
yes,
will be
can.
vital.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. I don't know why, but I just muted myself. Anyway, I'm back now. So yeah. So for me, the journey of what some of the tools I'm going to share, the energy medicine tools, came to me about 8 years ago now. At a point in time where I used to have a very deep yoga practice, and I was spending a lot of time of life doing that. But actually, I fell out with my yoga school. It was quite culty, and there was some real distortion and abusive, horrible things happening. And it really took me off that path. You know, it made me really, I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I completely rejected my practice. And I also had a little bit of post-trauma from that, on top of everything else that had happened in life. And obviously, I have always needed to take care. You know, I think I've always needed to take care of my nervous system. Having, like, my personal story is that I was adopted, fostered, grew up in a family that had a very unsafe dynamic for a while, and then self-medicated with a lot of substances. So it was quite a chaotic and rocky road that brought me into more stillness practices with the meditations and the yoga. And there was a lot to digest. You know how it is when we are going through intense experiences and they get a little bit locked in the body, and we have less and less trust sometimes, and more tension, and we can build up quite strong inner critic and judge. And I will later describe to you how actually the inner critic and the judge are signposts that we are in a sympathetic nervous state. But suffice to say that after I gave up on my yoga school and was like, Well, I gotta get rid of all that because that was clearly wonky. I was organizing a festival for women. I thought, what can I take out of this? What's the empowering thing that I can do that is going to help me to remember that actually I've stepped out of something that is a good thing, and I've spoken up for something that is really important. And as much as that is scary, and there's been a kind of excommunication between me and the community, like I did the right thing. And I am still a powerful woman. And so I was like on this mission to do this because I love the things that I did discover about myself as a force of nature, and about my female power, and about the gifts of having practices which root us in safety and belonging. But I needed to reframe it all. So I was organizing this festival and I was like so inspired, but so overwhelmed. And I don't know if you've ever had this with work projects. You know, you're on fire, but you're so on fire that you can't quite sleep properly. And you're waking up at stupid times and like being like, oh my God, I've got to write this down, or I've got to send this email. And then maybe you've got children as well. And, you know, I had my daughter at the time was like 5. And, you know, there was like this and that needed doing, sleepovers and, you know, all the usual cooking stuff. And it was just hectic. And I was like, I need help. I just really need help. And I don't know if you know what Mind Valley is, but it's a place of great resources and many, many self-awareness, consciousness kind of classes. Actually, he has so many. He has an overwhelming amount of adverts on YouTube these days, which does my head in. But at the time, it really served me, and I discovered this energy medicine. And these simple tools which work with the meridian lines of the body. Now, when I say meridian lines, put your hand up if you've heard of them before, if that means anything to you. Okay, so quite a few of you. So meridian lines come from a perspective of medicine, Chinese medicine, and they are energy lines that run through the body that are deeply connected to different organs in the body. And so things like acupuncture and shiatsu and acupressure, which is what I'm going to teach some things to you about, they work to activate these energy lines in the body, which brings signals to the organs, which supports them to open, to relax, to release energy. And the fascinating thing and the amazing thing with Chinese medicine is very holistic, and each organ has a correlation to an emotion. And there is like an emotional cycle, you know, so which is very connected to the nervous system and starts with perhaps having something that activates us a little bit and takes us outside of that place of like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm just chilling. I'm, you know, getting on with my stuff. I feel connected to my space. I feel connected to what I'm doing. I'm happy to talk right now. I'm able to focus like that. What in poly-vagal theory they call the window of tolerance, or that which I've just described, which is a kind of description of like being in our parasympathetic system, where we are resilient and capable and connected and kind of relaxed in ourselves. And when something triggers, often to distract us from there, and it can be as simple as like someone dropping something on the other side of the room that makes a loud noise, which was unexpected, and we get jarred, can't it? Or you know, someone you know, if you're in a public place and, you know, someone is rude in front of you or next to you, or it doesn't see you properly and bumps you out of the way. There can be so many little things that can happen in our busy lives, which can jar us. And that then is you know, there's a little fear there. And if we don't have the space, time, or awareness to recognize that perhaps that fear has been covered up with a little bit of like, oh, I didn't like that, didn't like what that person did, or a little bit of anger is the next step. So to cover fear, we often go into frustration or anger, or as a, you know, it shows us a boundary's being crossed. It's like, I got to protect my space right now. But if that isn't registered as what we're doing, we can go from the anger can kind of get stuck in that frustrated place inside of us. And then that also affects our heart and our ability to feel connected. And we start to feel disconnected. And also from the fear and then there's this like lack of trust that comes in, and that feeling of not being quite fully grounded where we are, with who we are, with what we're doing. And what that bleeds into then is like that feeling of anxiety and worry. Like, am I okay here? Do I doubt? Am I in the right place? That doubt, you know. So, and that then we can want to do. Let's, you know, maybe we can go into things like avoiding, like, no, it's okay. I'll just dismiss my little anxious part, or I'll avoid it, or I'll just get on, you know, I'll just, never mind, I've just got to get on with things. These are some very common coping mechanisms with that circle of emotions that I'm just describing. But what if, and this is what I want to share some practices about, what if when you first notice, like, oh, I've been jarred, I've been shocked, what if there could be small things, for example, like the things that we did in that first session, that first practice, where we're like, okay, where we recognize it, where we register it, like, oh, that actually shook me up a bit, whatever that's just happened. Like, I'm feeling a bit of an uncomfortable tension. I notice I just got frustrated there. Okay, what can I do now? And those things that I invited you to do, like orientating, like, okay, I don't feel so good, like, oh, but if I look around, okay, I can notice that that's something I like over there. That's something quite pretty. Or I could have a drink of my tea really mindfully, like, I like the taste of this juice, you know? Like, yeah, okay, that's something that brings me pleasure. So that's grounding me again in that, like, I'm actually okay here now. The humming, no, I don't know if I invited you to do humming, but one of the things that's really good to tone the nerves is humming. And also the loving touch that I invited you to do. So there's all these very simple things which can begin to pause what can become that kind of spiral of emotional action from a trigger. And as I hope you understood, was it clear enough as I was describing that how that cycle worked? And what's interesting is that, so the fear is in Chinese medicine is a kidney response. The anger is a liver response. The separation is a heart response, and the worry is a spleen response. So as that's all going on, what the amazing thing is with this energy medicine is it takes you directly to work on the meridian lines that are connected to those organs. And so when you start knowing this and doing this, it's such a good biohack. You're actually telling your body, like, oh, I'm hearing you, I'm feeling you, and I'm going to try this because, like, I'm pretty sure, you know, these energy lines, as I'm going to show you, have a soothing effect, have a balancing effect. So we're working together very clearly with our bodies to pause and to repattern that emotional cycle, which is a stress response. So I'll show you one of the first ones that, but this is a great one to do because you can do it in any public place. The great thing with so many of these things is they're quite subtle, but they have a really great effect. So I'm going to try to screen share and see if I'll be at the side of the screen share as well. Just might take me a little moment because I'm not An expert. Okay. Yes, okay, that is my desktop. That is kind of, we're on the way. And great, okay, this. So, can now it's happened that I can't see you, but I assume that you can see the screen. Is that true? Can
Yeah,
someone?
if you want to make it bigger, and don't worry about us. I think there is a way to see us, but I couldn't tell you now. But keep it big so we can all see.
Yeah, so is that, can you see that there now?
Yep, we can see. And if anyone wants to make the screen bigger, if you go to the right-hand side, you can drag in or out that line that keeps all the faces out, so you get a bigger screen. You can see the picture better if you want to.
It would be great if I could be in the corner because then you'd see me doing it as well. However, so this first, is there a thing in front of it? Because I have like a.
No, there's nothing. You can move that bar up and down. We can't see that, but
Okay, great. Thank you.
we can see the picture perfectly now.
Okay, good. Okay, amazing. And I can see all you in the side. So, so this one, it's like, it's also quite a natural thing to do. That, when you feel a little overwhelmed or a little threatened, because we often like, cross our arms in front of ourselves. And funnily enough, like also in past years, I remember people saying, if you want to look strong and confident, you have to hold your posture like this, but sometimes that's just not natural. And if the posture is naturally wanting to do this, I think there's a wisdom in that. And when I studied this, it is surely true. So you can do, well, we'll go with what it says here. So wrap your left arm around your right arm, just above the elbow. And then wrap your right arm under the left side of your body underneath your breast. So there is a point to hold just where you have your elbow bone, and then just above it to this side of the, I don't know if anyone will say outer or inner, but here is one point. And the other point is like right where the bra strap is, just there. So the one on the arm is activating a point on the meridian line of the triple warmer, which is directly connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. And the one at the bra strap is directly connected to the spleen. And the spleen, as I described in the emotional cycle, when it's overwhelmed, it gets anxious and it worries. But when it's balanced, it's that grounding, nourishing feeling inside of us. So just invite you to take a couple of breaths here. And again, if exhaling and keeping the jaw soft feels good, I invite that too. And then we're going to swap. So we're going to put the arms the other way around. So whichever side was holding the point just behind the elbow, it now goes to the bra strap, and the other one holding the elbow point. And we'll just again do a couple of breaths here. Yeah. So this for me can just be, it's a great one just to do when you need that little bit extra, kind of like softening and grounding. It's also great to do if you wake up at night and you struggle to get back to sleep, can also really help with that. Part of the reason it's so great is that it also the arms cross over the body. And what happens when we're in a stress response is that the brain hemispheres and the energy in our aura, it stops its natural kind of crossover format. And because we get stressed and we get a bit pigeon focused because we're threatened and we have to escape or whatever. And the crossing over of the arms, again, it just also reminds the body to go back to its natural energy flow. I'm curious if anyone has a couple of words also to share about that. Or I'm going to go to one other practice. So again, continuing with the triple warmer, which is it doesn't have a corresponding organ in Western medicine, but it does, I guess it could correspond just to the nervous system. So this is also a really great, simple thing to do. I do this in public. I don't know, some people like to be more modest, but I don't think it's that big of a thing. So you start by just putting your hands over your eyes and taking a breath. And then once you've exhaled, you take your hands to your temples. And from the temples, you brush over your ears, down behind your ears, down the side of your neck, and then you come to rest with your hands on your shoulders. And there's a bit of weight here. You allow your fingers to press in. You feel the weight of your upper, like your arms. Take a few breaths. And then again, let your hands travel down so that they meet in between your breasts over your heart. And take a breath here. Yeah. Yeah. So that's also like those two in and of themselves, the way that these things work. I mean, maybe you feel something immediate. For me, it was very immediate and obvious. Like my sister was obviously like running in a chronic stress pattern, which I didn't know because it was like my normal. And just doing these, I suddenly accessed a felt sense of like, oh, whoa, this is a new feeling, a new feeling to associate with safety, with relaxation, with permission to not be tense, permission to not be hypervigilant. Yeah, permission to explore being a bit softer and out and around. So the last one I'm going to do with you just now is this one. So whilst it's very nice to have this like dropping in and stuff like that, sometimes you also, this is a great one because it's also, if you're feeling over, like once you've dropped down, you also still want to, because what can happen when we drop down is the nervous system can go slightly the other way. And we can, if we've been running chronically stressed and a little bit high, underneath that can often be a little bit of a collapsed system that is overwhelmed, that's being masked by this high function over adrenal activity. And so what this one can do is also just remind the energy in our bodies to flow a specific way in the circuit. Naturally, our body energy normally flows up our spines and then it kind of cascades down the front of us. And that is the healthy yang flow of energy. And sometimes when we have a collapsed system inside, our body's gone very yin. and it's flowing backwards. So this one, so one finger on the belly button and one finger on the third eye. And you're just gonna like gently sort of lift. I know belly buttons can be sensitive, but you know, there's like a just let lift into the belly button and lift into the third eye. And take a few breaths. Yeah, nice. Okay. So one of the ways to know whether or not that your system has recognized that is like a sigh or a yawn. Yeah, it's like Ella was saying earlier, the sighs are a really good sign that the system is opening and softening. Okay, so having done those practices now, would anyone like to share their experience? Yes, please, Paula.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
The first one, the sort of hugging one, comforting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And does it feel like that would be something easy to remember and easy to just kind of do in those moments?
Yeah, absolutely. The one covering
Yep.
eyes, and then that is very similar to the self Reiki that Althea showed me on the healing plan.
Mm-hmm.
I do tend to do that. I do that when I'm in bed, first thing in the morning when I wake up. I'll do that.
Beautiful.
And also if I wake up in the night, I'll do that.
Beautiful. So your system's already quite used to you listening and responding and doing soothing things. So nice.
I hope so.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? So, as it always is with these things, I know that you like to, it's 1:45 now, Althea. So I had loads more stuff to share. There's just so many good things.
It's up to you. I mean, Lenny would like to say something.
Yep.
Hello. I think that these practices which we've just done, I can understand that, you know, once you start, if you start to feel stressed, you would utilize these to stop the stress escalating. What can you do if you have been in a chronic state of stress for a very, very, very long time, and it's, you know, taken over your life? What strategies can you use to sort of bring all that down?
Yeah, good question. Good question. Yeah. It's a slow journey. It's a slow journey, changing some of those ingrained stress patterns where synapses and neural pathways are really a little embedded and we've got kind of comfortable living in the uncomfortable. And it is really about repetition. It's about repetition and acknowledgement. And really affirming when you notice new states arising. There are states that you like. There are states that you want more of. Really affirming that to yourself, whether that's out loud, whether that's internally. And just being patient. There are now, actually, so the last thing that I did want to share, I thought about going a little bit into poly-vagal theory, but I feel like actually, with that, that would need another half hour or so. It is something I could do another call on at another point.
You're
But
very welcome. Yeah, it's something I've heard of. There's been a lot of talk about the vagal nerve I've seen recently, or maybe that's just me,
yep,
and how important it is. So yeah, you're very welcome. We could always do another talk if it's a whole new subject.
it's
But
very much
you're welcome.
connected. Yeah, thank you. It very much feeds into this, or once you, I mean, polyvagal theory is just a deeper explanation of that place that I described where we feel relaxed, where we're not in a tension, where we feel connected to our present environment, to our present moment, where we're feeling resilient and resourced and like pretty calm and focused and connected. And polyvagal theory is about expanding our awareness of that and recognizing that there's the stress response of fight and flight in one direction. The nervous system goes one direction, sympathetic. And also then that there's freeze and fawn, which is the other direction. And of course, when things are chronic and stressful environment has been quite continuous, it can be a little bit of a mishmash of both. And the polyvagal theory, just having that awareness and that understanding, and the descriptors of emotional responses within those different spheres of nervous system response. So you can identify like, oh shit, I actually feel myself now in my freeze. What can I do to just gently encourage myself back out of that? Or like, oh yeah, wow, I just don't care about anything right now. Like I'm just like, an understanding that when you don't care, when you become careless, that when you've become like uncaring of consequences, you're in a fight response or a flight response. And just understanding that those responses and those habits of behavior are actually something that your central nervous system, your autonomic system does in and of itself with the hormone excretions. And it's not something that you can psychologically control yourself out of. Just having that awareness, and that it begins a huge spiral of self-forgiveness, because you can stop judging yourself for when you go into that pattern of like, losing your shit at somebody because of something, or that thing of going into that horrible spiral of like, I've just got to be alone and like I can't handle the world, and this is just too much, the overwhelm. When you understand that all those behaviors which you think are like, it's easy to judge as being, overreactive or not normal, but no, they're actually very like natural nervous system responses. However, with greater awareness to the nuances of where your system's going, you can maybe catch them before they come too extreme, which is what you were just talking about, Linny. So I think one of the key things, actually, here we come, this is now we're getting around to. So one of the key things is that we can't fix what happened in the past. And we may have built up chronic patterns, but and the way to really bring deep healing is to consistently in the now and in the future now moments start using these kind of tools. And so that we're slowly building a new chapter and a new story, which is like, okay, and I've been in these chronic places, and that's still part of how I'm behaving right now. But every day it maybe 3 or 5 times a day, I do these things loads. And when 8 years ago, I was just like constantly on it. I'm taking a new step. Every moment is a new step towards a different pattern, towards a healthier response. And yeah, it's a bit like what Althea talks about with the PainFree method. It can be steps forward and steps backwards, but it's about showing up consistently for ourselves, because that is also the deep reparenting that we need for whatever it is that we've developed, these chronic responses, and perhaps we haven't known, or we haven't had it modeled, how to really show up for ourselves unconditionally, and how to put boundaries that are like, because there can be a lot of social shame, and perhaps there's been expectation, like, I need to show up, I need to have a certain way, I need to be at this event, I need to stay there to the end, I need to go to that meeting. It's like, actually, well, because all of those things might be external needs to please another person. It's like, what do I need deeply? And if what you need is to say, I've got to go now, and this is enough, and I need to do something else, or I'm not, it's also about cultivating that stronger sense of really standing up for ourselves.
Catriona, Ella wanted to comment on something.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Something really remarkable has just happened, and I did those 3 little exercises. I really checked on how I was doing them, and then I took notes, and so I had to disconnect a little bit to do the notes, because I'm a bit dyslexic, and unless I actually get things down in the right order, I can't do them again. Okay, so I was doing them, and I was doing them really properly, and I'd like to say that the neck clench that I have on the right of my neck, and I've had it for like 2 or 3 days now, has completely gone. And I don't know which of those exercises did it, because I wasn't noticing until at the end I went, oh, that's really strange. It's completely gone. And I had a really good neck massage with a great osteopath on Tuesday. And so the following day was okay. Wednesday, what's it now? We're now on Monday, aren't we? So it's sort of in the last 2 days, it's been growing. And I keep on saying to myself, I know this is an emotional response to stuff. It's stuff that it's building up, because there's something that I'm not dealing with as I go along. And what I've just been shown from doing these very, very simple self-care exercises is that I've completely released whatever it was it was like this kind of little demon that sits and it clenches me up here. And I know it's emotional. It cannot be physical. I've been through so many different permutations to see what it might be, and it's got an emotion. It's asking me to look after myself emotionally as I go.
Yes.
Oof.
I'm so happy. That's so beautiful to hear, and I'm so glad for you that transformation has happened, that your neck is not so painful anymore. That's wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah,
It
amazing.
really quite actually blow me away.
Yeah. Yeah, it also blew me away when I first started doing it. It was like the level of safety and empowerment that came not from feeling good all the time, but knowing that the reset could be quick and easy. It was a game changer, especially as someone who'd had like dependencies on various things. So it was really nice to take back that soothing, like the healing in my own hands. Like, for example, Paula was talking about the Reiki as well. So, Linny, I just wonder if what I said there, did that speak enough into what you were asking?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And what I would say is now here, I've just shared 3 of these things, and there are many, many more. And I know that Althea is going to put a connection to me on her page. So if you are interested in doing a little more work and learning some more, there's some really great acupressure holdings, which take a little bit more time. You have to hold certain points for a few minutes to release energy from the system, and then hold another set to close the system down. And these ones for me were the most impactful, but they take a little longer, and we don't quite have time for that right now. And also I teach other Taoist practices that work with the 5 elements and the organs, and releasing the emotional backlog, and just building awareness of that emotional cycle in the body. And I also do work especially connected to sensuality and Taoist sensuality practices as well, which can be such a wonderful thing for us as women to, again, reclaim our sensual selves and our sexual selves without the objectification and without the using. You know, sometimes in partnerships or in the outer world, we can feel commodified and objectified, and we can shut down a little bit from what is naturally good for us in terms of feeling juicy and connected. And yeah,
That's the course that I did with you, and I just want to say that as an English person, it's really weird and freaks me out a little bit. But I have been dancing salsa for many years, so connected with my sensuality, I guess. But doing the course with you, Catriona, it was really beautiful and very childlike and sweet, I found in myself, and a really releasing, freeing feeling. So really, really beautiful. I do encourage people, if they feel drawn to you in all your different ways that you work, you know, it's really beautiful journey into oneself.
Thank you, love.
For yourself.
Yeah, it was a beautiful month. Yeah, exactly that. There is a deep innocence in our eros and in the expression of our bodies and in the enjoyment of our bodies, whether that's the simple pleasure of like being able to get lost in your own caresses, or like a deeper journey into reconnecting to the womb and the vulva and like reclaiming some of the juicy passion down there as well. So many layers of what it can really mean to really be embodied as a woman. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for joining. It was really a pleasure. I really love creating and being in space like this. I
It
hope
was
you
really
enjoyed it.
beautiful, really beautiful, Catriona, and I just wanted to what came up from me from your talk is really beautiful all the way through, and very beautifully descriptive and of how healing works. And I loved your connection, how you talked about the meridians, how the meridians connect to the organs and the organs connect to the emotions, and then we get triggered by all these different emotions, fear and frustration, anger, and these different emotions are connected to those organs, and that triggers us, and then we get into that fight or flight nervous systems, and the autonomic nervous system. And I loved how you described that. It was really, and I see the similarity. I mean, from my work with the PainFree Method to yours too, I see the similarity in everything, in every way, which way you look at, where there's truth and things that work and holistic things. I loved how you described it. You said it so beautifully, and I thought, oh, yeah. I was going, yeah. That's it.
Nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you
Thank
for the
you.
reflection. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really passionate about sharing. So it's like spreading that knowledge, sharing that. It's empowering, and we need to feel empowered in life, especially in the way that, sometimes culture is right now, where there's a lot of people advising external things and extreme things. And it's like, actually, no, it's like very simple and it's all within us.
Absolutely, amen to that. And everyone's saying how lovely it was and how thankful they are.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Catriona. And I will be putting together a link that you can look at the suggestions and how to get in contact with Catriona and take things further if you wish, or to look at this recording again. You'll have the recording there too. If it's not with you tonight, it'll definitely be with you tomorrow. And
if you want PDFs of the things that we did, also I can send them, or
amazing.
Something like that.
That would be amazing. So I'll put together a page, and let me know what you would like to share, and I'll put that together on a page so everyone can see that and have access to it. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Pleasure.
So is there anything else anyone would like to add before we finish the call? Lots of lovely comments for you, Catriona.
Yeah, thank you. Oh,
Okay, so I think we'll wrap that up then. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Another pain-free, amazing interview and
Yeah.
talk, workshop. I don't know what to call it. It's lovely talk. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Catriona, for sharing your wisdom and your guidance. And yeah, so you will get the links to connect with Catriona further if you wish. And thank you so much, everybody. And I
Yeah.
will bring it to a close now then. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Enjoy your
Thank you.
evenings.
You too. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you. Bye for now.